So I want to tell you a recurring story that I keep on hearing, and I want to make sure that hearing it and seeing it and experiencing it, and I want to make sure I share it with you guys. People keep coming to our coach certification workshops, and when they walk in the door, they're looking for how to watch for better movement, which is exactly what the coach workshop is for. People walk in the door and they're like, I don't know what I'm seeing when I look at this. When someone reaches down and tries to touch their toes, what does it mean if they feel it in their calf? What does it mean if they feel it in their back or if they feel it in their hamstring? Why are those things different, and who needs to modify what in the gym, and how do we know when to stop? That's the kind of questioning that they come in with. And it's awesome because that's the stuff that the coach workshop solves for. You're going to learn at a coach workshop how to assess movement better and how to be sure that you're seeing what you think you're seeing. Because if you watch someone in your gym reach down and try to touch the ground, you might think the range of motion is full just because they're touching the floor. But now, what if you look at someone next to them doing it and it looks easier? Are they both full? What if the next person does it and they get there, but their knees are just a little bit bent, but when they stand up, their knees stay bent? Are they full? That's the kind of stuff that our workshop clears up, because we all have a little bit of a different anatomy and physiology, so the way that we move through space is going to vary. Some of those variants are normal, some of those variants are not, and the way that we exercise, especially with intensity, is going to be affected by the way that our body moves through space. So when people walk into our workshop, their mindset is perfect, because we ask them, what are the problems that you're here to solve? Start a workshop off, I write these problems on the board with your name to make sure that all of those questions get answered. The interesting thing is what happens by the end of the workshop. People haven't asked during the workshop, hey, how do I fix that problem? They don't ask that before the workshop starts. It's not on their mind. Hey, what if someone's shoulder doesn't go through full range of motion and we don't want them to do kipping because it causes them pain, so we're doing this instead? How do we get them back to doing kipping? They don't ask that before the workshop starts. Because during the workshop, what we do is we demonstrate various different levels of full range of motion and limited range of motion and the problems that coincide with them. So we can give a solution to have that athlete feel better on a day-to-day basis. We don't cover how to fix these problems as a global or specific mechanism. Right? We talk about very general principles that coaches can then leave and apply, so you're not leaving with an empty toolkit. But when we teach our immersion course, that's where we coach coaches on how to make the changes to these things. That's where we say, hey, Johnny can't get his arm over his head. How can you help Johnny get his arm over his head? That happens in the immersion course. And let me tell you why we don't do that in workshop form. It would be boring. It would be incredibly boring. The way that the immersion program works is we get with you 1 hour a week for 12 consecutive weeks on video calls. We teach 1 to 2 topics, and then we send you away with assignments to practice those 1 to 2 topics so that you can learn something and then go get 50, 100 reps in the week in between. Then there's a quiz every week to make sure that you understand the material. If we were to do that in a workshop format, you wouldn't have the time necessary between concepts to be able to ingest and understand the information. So we'd have to sit you down and we would have to deliver this information to you with whiteboard lecture after whiteboard lecture after whiteboard lecture. And could we break out and test? Yes, we could and we would. But in 2 days, we wouldn't be able to bring you close to enough exposure or experience in the stuff that we're teaching you to be able to make the changes. That you'd be able to remember and say, got it, I'm a different person now. Our immersion course is 12 weeks long. It's not by accident. We could do it much easier by building out a 24-hour long or a 12-hour long webinar where we just deliver it to you cold and you watch it at your own pace. That would be what we would do essentially in a workshop, but we'd say, hey, pause here and go break out on your own. We could do that. The reason we haven't done that for the immersion program is because the value isn't there in just watching the videos. The value is there in interacting with myself, Dr. Ray Gorman, whichever of our staff members are providing the immersion content to you. You get to ask a question and get your answer. That's the value of the immersion program. Then you get to go out for a week and test it and start practicing it and getting better at it. Imagine learning how to teach somebody a snatch for the first time. You need to go out and see what chest over the bar looks like in the first pull, over and over and over and over again, before you can start correcting why it's not there. The assessment workshop would be to be able to watch somebody go through that first pull, for example, and see if their chest stays over the bar. Except for us, it's less dynamic. We're just looking at joints. Can you move through space? The immersion program is this person cannot keep their chest over the bar, or this person flies their butt up in the air. Why is that happening? We've tried to cue it away and it continues to occur. I'm frustrated now as a coach. How do I solve that problem? That's what the immersion program is for. But it's 12 weeks long and it's not for everybody because it's not easy. You gotta commit, you gotta wanna be a pro. And frankly, same thing exists for our workshop. You wanna come to a workshop, become a certified active life coach? You gotta wanna be a pro because it's not easy. They give you a test and the test isn't easy and not everybody passes. In fact, over 30% of people fail the first time. And that's okay because that's how it's meant to be. We want you to gain knowledge, apply knowledge, come back and gain it again. I hope that was helpful, you guys. The story that I want you to understand is that I don't want people coming to the workshop and leaving frustrated because they didn't learn how to fix this stuff and feeling like they have to buy the immersion program. Overwhelmingly, people leave our workshops and give us 5 out of 5. They tell us how great it is, how life-changing it was, how they're gonna go back and they're gonna help their clients. And that's awesome. I wanna make sure that people understand if you wanna learn how to go about changing the findings that you see in a workshop, that happens in our immersion program, where people not only leave with 5 out of 5, but they learn with a skill set that they can use to make money.